I'm your host, Stassi Schroeder. Welcome to Tell Me Lies, the official podcast. What's the most unhinged thing of season 3?
Steven, because he's so evil.
I do think he is misunderstood.
You see everyone face consequences.
It's intoxicating. The writers just know how to trick you. There's always a twist in this show.
It's nothing you would expect.
Tell Me Lies, the official podcast, January 6th, and stream the new season of Tell Me Lies, January 13th on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Katie, we are back to talking about music.
Yes.
Because, my God, there's just so much of it.
There is.
And we're going to talk about a band that you have definitely put as like one of your favorites.
Yes.
They're one of my favorites too. A little bit of a peek behind the curtain is this year is the 30? Oh God, we're old. The 30-year anniversary of their second album.
Oh my God.
Teenage Politics, and the EP on the cover. And I want us to cover both of those this year before this year is out.
Sure.
But I figured, well, let's get that first album out of the way.
Yeah.
And this is one that I never really listened to as much as I love MxPx. And spoiler alert, diving into it, I was kind of reminded why. Mm-hmm. This is one that I don't visit that much.
Yeah. No,
you had a similar experience. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was like, I remember being recommended this. So I was huge into MxPx when I was in middle school. And I literally have still a workout sports bag that has an MxPx quote on it that I will show once that album comes up. But yeah, no, I loved MxPx, but this was the album that I think someone introduced to me, and I was just like, that's when I realized, I feel like I'm like an old woman, because I'm like, it just feels like a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And then listening to it, I was like, oh, well, yeah, they are 16. Yeah.
Well, so let's do a little bit of the history of the band real quick.
Yeah.
So MxPx was formed in Birmingham, Washington in July of 1992 by Mike, Yuri, and Andy. They were all 15 years at the time that they formed the band, and they actually played their first show in Mike's parents' backyard. Their original name was Magnified Plaid, which was a tribute to their guitarist Andy's fascination with plaid shirts. But because that name was long and didn't fit on the posters, they would abbreviate it to MP for their shows. Yuri, the drummer, would use X's in place of periods, and eventually they just took on the 4-letter moniker of MxPx.
That's actually something I did not know. Because I was always like, what is it, military place? What are we doing?
Yeah. Yep, magnified plaid. They recorded a 4-song 7-inch with Aaron Sparkle in Seattle, and he played it for Brendan of Tooth and Nail Records. Mm-hmm. The band then played a showcase for the label in 1993. They did that showcase in Mike's parents' garage, and the band's major record label, Pokinatcha, was released the very next year in 1994. So they were 17 by the time this album came out. It was released while they were all still in high school, and it's categorized for its raw punk sound, catchy rhythms, and classic 3-chord guitar style. Right after this album came out, though, Andy quit the band to go off to college, and that's when Tom joined the band and has been in the band since. Gotcha. And they've basically remained that 3-piece from that point on. What does the name mean, you might be asking? The name came from a Snickers candy bar commercial where the ad jingle said that hunger is poking at you.
Poking at you, poking at you, poking at you. Do you remember that ad?
I don't, actually.
Keep on poking at you, poking at you, poking at you.
Yep, no memory of that.
Oh, wow. Honestly, I didn't have that memory until I was, saying it out loud a couple of times. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember. Because it was, a really annoying ad. But it was before their other campaign that Snickers is so well known for.
Well, and so the thing is with this album, you and I were texting about this. This is an album written by 15 and 16-year-olds, record it when they're 17. And, this doesn't sound that far off from what my high school band was writing. You know what I mean? They're fast, they're simple, and there's not a lot of variety.
No, and the lyrics are not necessarily the most in-depth. They're no 5 Iron Frenzy. That's
the thing. I don't think MxPx ever was.
No.
I don't think that they were ever a band where you really needed to deep dive what the message of the songs were. But, this is going to be the first, and certainly not the last time that we do this, but, with 5 Iron Frenzy, with the Happy Christmas album, it was kind of fun to do a track by track analysis, but we're talking about 21 songs that all are a minute and a half to 2 minutes long. They all kind of feel the same. So I think instead of going through 21 tracks that we don't have anything really to say, we're going to kind of just talk about what works and what doesn't work with this one. We're gonna we'll call this segment "Picking at You, Poking at You."
I actually really love that.
Yeah, but we can only use it once. But this one, I had texted you that 4 years later they put out their live album at the show, and they only do 3 songs off of this album out of the 28 tracks on that record.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Which songs were they?
So 2 of the songs are one of the ones that I wrote down to talk about.
Okay.
So one of them is "Want Ad," which is kind of the standout track on this record. It's the memorable track. The other one was "Walking By," which I really liked that one. I don't remember that one before listening to this, but "Walking By" came on and I'm like, ooh, this song's fun. It has a really cool bass intro from Mike.
Yeah,
it
was a nice breakup of just the pure drums coming in. Yeah.
And then the last one that they did was "Time Brings Change," which was track 12, which was just kind of fine. That one doesn't stand out to me. I remember my memories with this album as a kid was it starts off strong. Anywhere but here, I will still ride for that song. "Weak" is pretty good. One ad is the standout song. That's the song that people remember from this album still. And then it just kind of becomes a 40-minute long song in my ears from that point on, because it's just everything's just so quick and so fast, and that's kind of what skater punk always was.
Yeah. And I totally agree too, because I feel like MxPx was the model that everybody in high school wanted to exemplify so that they could be famous by 16.
Yeah. But the other element about this, and you had mentioned this when we were texting a little bit, the biggest thing with this album was talk about an iconic cover with an eye-catching logo, right? As it's referred to, the Pokinatcha Punk is to this day, it's still what people think of when they think of MxPx, is they think of this artwork.
Yeah.
And they've done variations of him over the years, but this is the version that I always come back to.
I remember I was I've never been a fan of myself. I love people with tattoos, but I was I hate needles, so there's no way. The MxPx Pokinatcha Kid was 100% something that I was like considering for a long time to get that head somewhere on my body. And I was like, I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I cannot stand needles. And every time someone's like, hey, maybe you should get a tattoo, I was like, I don't want to. Yeah. Scares me.
Fun request. No.
Yeah. Fun request. And it was like one of those things where I was like, I don't know of an image that I want on my body for the rest of time and my existence that would, like, I feel like, maintain.
Well, that's kind of why I never got tattoos either. Like there's always that element. I said, like, the ultimate irony is that the only reason I would ever want to get a tattoo is to remember my grandfather who hated tattoos. So, like, it's not even like a good, like, so it's just like, oh, I'm just not going to get one.
Yeah.
Then. But like,
so, like, instead of having a tattoo, I would just draw it on backpacks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is like the thing that I think I've forgotten about is, like, in my head, I'm like, oh, this character was on every album cover, but he really wasn't. He was on this album cover. He was on Teenage Politics. Okay. And then they have a long run of him not being anywhere on the cover. And I think it's only recently that he's kind of started to pop up on their artwork again, because, like, you can't escape how iconic this character is.
Yeah, no, it really is. And I didn't realize it, but I did a mini dive. I didn't go deep because I've gone deep enough in the last couple of weeks. But I did a little dive into, there was, the artist actually wrote sort of this, like, letter after the 30th year of the release of the album. And he was talking about how he also designed the in-house tooth and nail image, which I thought was really cool. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, if I had known that this was going to be, like, an iconic image for 30 years, I would have been way more in my head and gotten artistic block. He's like, I never thought, he was just like, I was having fun drawing this, like, little punk kid that kind of associated with the band. And it's like, and now it's like an icon.
And it really is. And, like, that's so I'm like looking at, like, which albums had him and which albums didn't. And I think the other aspect is, like, he's on the cover of, like, Let It Happen, right?
Okay,
you pull up that picture and he's riding a skateboard.
Right.
And I forget what he's doing on Teenage Politics. I think he's getting beat up on the Teenage Politics cover.
Oh, great.
But I think the element that changed with that I don't like is that they made him, like, differently proportioned in the future. Like, he was taller and lankier. And I love that he, like, looks like a punky Tiny Toons Adventure type character. Like, that he is this, like, short Calvin and Hobbes looking kind of guy.
Yeah.
Like, I think once you make him proportioned like an actual human, it, like, ruins kind of the appeal of the character a little bit.
Yeah, no, it kind of loses the cartooniness. And I remember people even having, like, car decals of this guy. Yeah.
And it's crazy because they were, you know, as we talked about with the Five Iron Frenzy song Handbook for the Sellout, like, this band blows up, like, 2 years from this point. They are, like, on MTV. They are even a little bit before that. I feel like with Punk Rock Show that, like, started to get them out there where people who weren't like us listening to almost exclusively Christian music knew this band. Yeah. I think I genuinely knew who MxPx was before I was into Christian music. Like, I think it was one of those groups that, like, my friends who were into, like, The Offspring and Green Day would talk about MxPx in that same breath as a great punk band from the 90s.
Yeah, no, I remember I was in middle school and my good friend Aaron Mooney introduced me to MxPx, and this was while I was into all of the Christian music. Like, this is, like, exactly the time that I was very deep into, like, only the, like, that was my KJ52 era. But so it was like my, like, going away from the secular music into, like, something cooler, whatnot. And my friend told me about MxPx, and basically it was when we were trying to start a band of our own called Three Blind Mice.
Love it.
Yeah. None of us could sing. None of us could really play. And she played me the bass line for Chick Magnet. And she was like, you got to listen to all this other stuff first, though. Because, like, this is not even, like, the best of it. I was like, oh, okay. And I think that was actually more towards high school era. But, yeah, This was one of those bands that I was just like, oh, yeah, you can go hard and also be Christian. Sick.
You know, it didn't even dawn on me until we started having this conversation, but the fact that this album came out the same year that Green Day Dookie and Offspring Smash came out, it's kind of cool, right? Because like, you know, like I think it's easy to write off like, oh, this is another one of those like high school bands that found out about Green Day and formed a band, but it's like, no, they formed a band in 92 doing this. Like they were, I think they fell into that same category. And I think there's a reason why them and Five Iron get along so much is I think about that line that Micah said where he was like, we grew up in the church, but we came up in the clubs.
Right.
Like, I think that MXPX was probably in that same vein. Like they probably were three dudes who grew up in religious families, but like when it came to wanting to listen to music, they were going to listen to Bad Religion. They were going to listen to NoFX. They were going to like find these like underground Cali punk bands that they thought were so exciting and like made us want to form a band. You know what I mean? And it's like, I love that. I love that it's pure, right? Like this is probably among one of my least favorite MXPX releases. And I know that there are going to be some diehard MXPX fans that are like losing their mind that we're not like
covering something else,
just adoring this album so much, because I'm sure for some people this was their entrance way and this might be the best that MXPX ever sounded to them. But like this was just not for me. This was like not my era of punk. This was not my MXPX.
Not my MXPX. God, oh no, don't get us started on that whole thread. But no, it was one of those that was like, I feel like teenage Katie, who's like ready to just be, you know, anti every establishment type of stuff. This is why it connected to me, because it was just like, yeah, hardcore, and also love Jesus and all that, you know, like so conflicted.
We have to talk about the few times where they do get religious on this album, because it's not every track.
It's not, which is actually kind of refreshing.
Yeah, but the times that they do, it feels like weirdly ham-fisted
really
in a way.
Does. It feels like their dad was watching them write the lyrics.
It really does. Like, especially like one ad, like the way he just like squeezes in the like and loves Jesus.
Yeah, you know.
Like,
yeah.
Like you're just like, oh no. Like
okay.
But then they have a song, like another song about TV that's just like, man, TV sucks. Am I right? It's just reruns all the time.
And now if we think about Kendrick Lamar's recent songs, we're turn off the TV, turn off the TV. And also, you're saying that this album was released in 92, which is all part of my Testament's conspiracy theory, was all that stuff was kind of happening around like 1992 to 1995. Sorry, just like, I feel like a lot of like society was really at odds with itself post-Reagan era, post like all of this like moving into more democratic society, and there was a weird distance where the message wasn't quite clear. It was a lot of sound, it was a lot of fury, but then it became something that like a lot of us as teenagers really latched onto and kind of rode the wave.
Here it is, guys. Welcome to my hometown's video store.
Sweet, I didn't even know these still existed.
Well, they haven't had a new release since like 2004, but it's still standing. Why don't you guys look around and rent something? It's on me.
Okay, I'm done.
What?
I got the best of 1987, RoboCop, Lethal Weapon, and Predator.
Predator's good, but Predator 2 is better.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, all those old action films, the sequels are better. RoboCop 2, Predator 2, Highlander 2.
Can't argue with Highlander 2.
Do they have any anime?
Yep, if you look, it's right over there.
That's like 5 tapes.
Yeah, welcome to the Midwest.
Steve, what are you renting?
I'll probably rent some bad sci-fi. Maybe something with Will Smith.
Nice. Get some Tim Burton Planet of the Apes while you're at it.
Isn't that the one where you wanted to bang the girl monkey?
Welcome to Analog Jones in the Temple of Film. I'm Steve.
I'm Chris.
I'm Brad.
We are a VHS podcast that breaks down the box art, trailers, and behind the scenes. Do you miss the old days before the internet when you only talked about the films you watched with your friends? We watch these old tapes and look for cool trailers, bizarre promos, and break them down for your entertainment.
If you like sweaty action movies, crappy sci-fi, or schlocky horror films and hate reading, listen to Analog Jones.
Sometimes we even do research and get our facts right on these old movies.
Even if we don't, it's on the internet. It's facts now.
So search for Analog Jones and find us at Anything That Plays podcast.
We obviously one ad, like we said, is kind of the big one. That's the one that I think they still will probably play live. In fact, I want you to tell me about the tracks that did stand out for you, and I'm going to go on Setlist FM and see if they played one ad at their most recent show, because I'm willing to bet that in 2025 it is still in their set list.
PXPX was one of those that I was like, I vaguely remember this, but like I have like a new appreciation for it in a weird way. But you know, the lyrics on it, like it was the one thing that I was like, I kind of dig this song, and I could not figure out why. And it was just one of those things that I'm like, I don't know, like it's not the longest song, it's not the most well-written song, but they've got, okay, so the lyrics are, you can never put in on a map once you're in, there's no turning back, we work together or we don't work at all, nothing you can do will make us fall, Pokinatcha punks. Which I'm assuming is why it's called PXPX, because it's the album title and in punks and, you know, PXPX. He's meaningful to us, but not to you. He's the one true center of our lives. His light is shining through. And on to you, it's always your choice. He'll always be there waiting, Pokinatcha punks. Because it feels like sort of the like thesis to this album, where it's like, hey, this is what we're about, but also you don't have to come to it right now. And there was a weird appreciation for that, where it was like every Christian band during this time was like, you gotta come up to the front, you gotta, you know, repent against your sins and like all this stuff. And something about this through a very like, you know, punk beat is like, come when you're ready.
Yeah. No, I do like that. And I was wrong. They are not, in fact, playing one ad anymore.
Oh, really?
There's only one song that they are still occasionally playing. The most recent show that they played was in January of this year.
Okay.
And they played Walking By. Was the only
yeah.
Pokinatcha song that they still had in their set list.
I figured it must be Walking By, yeah. What was it about Walking By that really drew you to it?
I think it's just that it starts with not
Something
the drums,
different.
like
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
It starts with So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Mike is a genuinely good bass player.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know that from like the fun little walking bass line that is Chick Magnet.
Yes.
But like to think about a 17-year-old kind of coming up with this kind of intricate fast bass intro to the song, and it doesn't like continue throughout the rest of the song, but it's like that beginning nugget of like, hey, this dude actually is a pretty good musician. And like you even get like Yuri can definitely hit the drums. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even want
yeah.
this to be like when you listen
Music
to Green
theory type
Day.
stuff, yeah.
Well, yeah, but like when you listen to Green Day and you listen to their first album before Trey Cool was their drummer, like there is this noticeable difference of like, this is pretty basic drumming. Trey Cool really like stepped it up. Or even listening to Blink-182 and comparing their albums before Travis was in the band to after Travis is in the band, and you're like, this is just leaps and bounds a different thing. I don't think Andy like brought anything crazy to the table that Tom wasn't also bringing to the table, but it kind of reminded you like, oh no, Green Day is this pretty well established like 3-piece band that had a really strong rhythm section. Like their bass player and their drummer really are the driving force of the band, and then the guitar is kind of the extra part of it.
Yeah,
the
it's
guitar
like
is
the accent, yeah.
Yeah, like it's way more of a bass and drum punk band.
Yeah.
Where the guitar player's just playing the chords to go along with whatever
The melody.
those two are doing.
Yeah.
And that establishes right out here, and I think that that's still kind of the winning mixture that they've gotten now 30 years after this that is still like working for them.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really hear MXPX and not get like a little bit amped. You know?
Yeah. That's what they're good at. And that's like kind of why I'm let down by this album, because I know that like in July when we dive into Teenage Politics, like that has like Do or Don't is like a song that I still think about. It has the title track, Teenage Politics. It has Punk Rock Show. It has Dolores, My Girl's in the IRA.
Yeah.
Like there's these songs that Money Tree, like there's all these songs that it's like I remember these songs distinctly because they have like a unique guitar riff and they have a catchy chorus and they have this, that, and the other thing, where like this is very much that skater punk version of music where it's just like you play it fast. Like that is what the song is like it's as quick as it can be.
The show, runners realize that you're on stage type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like I got to get off before I offend somebody type of thing.
Well, and I guess that this is like my little I have no evidence of this. I would love for us to be able to talk to someone from the band one of these days and find out.
Hey,
but like my
listeners.
theory is that the reason why like Walking By and One Ad and maybe like one or two other songs like Anywhere But Here, like the ones that we were like these are the standout tracks, is I wonder if out of the 21 tracks, I'm gonna have to assume that a bunch of them were written for like the 2 years before this album came out, between 92 and 94, and that like there's the couple like One Ad and Walking By specifically, I feel like I could hear on Life in General, or I could have heard. So it's almost like I wonder if there's a bunch of these songs from when they were 15 that are on this album, and then there's these like one or two songs when they're 17, and it's kind of like where their sound was eventually starting to evolve.
Go.
Yeah. Like,
no, and
because the turnaround is crazy.
No,
like,
it is.
Literally, this album to what they put out the following year is like almost a completely different band.
Because it is. It is. Well, and that's the thing that I don't ever want to offend anybody who's a diehard fan of this original album, but it's so clearly not where they end up, and I love where they end up because this is really the genesis of this band, and it feels almost like they were like, I don't know, play a little something, I'll see what I can sing.
And it's also like, not for nothing, most of us at 17 weren't good at writing songs and being in a band,
or having
and most of us unfortunately did. And like most of us didn't have a record label putting out what we were writing and recording when we were 16 and 17.
No,
so it's like it's totally understandable why this isn't good,
the best.
And I'm not going to take away people who like listen. I know plenty of people who are just the album that they discovered a band at is always going to be their favorite album.
Totally.
And unfortunately for you and I, this was not the album we discovered MxPx for. So it's like when you're going from like Life in General and slowly going the way of the buffalo, that are like these really layered songs, and then you go back and look at this and you're just like, oh yeah, no, this is, in any other band's career, this is like the demos that they shopped around to get signed, and they just happened to like get released on a record label. Like it's kind of that different vibe, all in all.
And I'm curious too, like how they were quote unquote discovered. Like, do you have any idea of like where that started?
It sounds like it was the Aaron Sprinkle thing. So Aaron Sprinkle is a pretty beloved producer in the Christian music scene.
Yeah.
And he was one of the producers. Like, he is the guy that Tooth and Nail hired for almost every one of their records. They really loved him. Mm-hmm. So my guess is that like the guys in MxPx probably saved up maybe a couple $100 playing shows and said, let's do like a 7-inch that we can sell at the shows, and let's hire this guy because we like his production on like these other albums. And I think it was that he heard them and like called up Tooth and Nail and was like, hey, I think I've got something here for you guys to listen to.
Yeah.
And I know like the stories that I've heard from Tooth and Nail is like they would get demos for days from bands, but that like, and they would listen to every single one of them. They wouldn't respond to every single person, but they would always listen to it to see what was there. But if they got tapped by like a band that was already on the label or like a producer that they worked with, they would kind of put that a little bit higher on their priority list of like, oh, this is someone who we trust is saying, hey, these guys are really good.
Yeah.
And I think that was the vibe, was like, And I'm sure even then, not to like, people who are producers have a good ear for something.
They have a good idea of what the future might hold.
And that's what I think it was. I think he recorded this demo and said, okay, these guys have been a band for a year. They're 16 and they're tight.
Yeah.
Like, what can we do if we get them on a label that will like
help
nourish that talent and push it? There could be something.
And they were.
And they really were. Like, it's like, it almost feels like this was like put out of obligation because they had all of these songs and like, why not release them?
Which is why it's such a long album too.
And they put out like
not that much.
The Let It Happen record is longer than this, but it doesn't feel longer than this.
Because they're more fully fleshed out songs.
Yes.
And not just, I don't know, some of these feel like scribblings in like, you know, a diary in a way. That's like, oh, we set this to music, I'll just do this entry that I did on the 4th or something.
Yeah, and not to be to be fair, Let It Happen is like not even really an album. It's like a B-sides and rarities collection.
Yeah.
But I have revisited all 71 minutes of that record a million times more than I've revisited the 48 minutes that this one is, because this one does feel like way more of a chore to sit through than that one.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, listen to this like cover that didn't make it onto their cover album. Like, listen to this. I remember the one it's the original version of Chick Magnet that features a clip from Mallrats that kicks off the song.
Yes.
Like it's like those little things like keep you invested in like, oh, this is like an interesting take on the song. This is like and I think it's better with that, man, you a mad Chick Magnet. And then like the song starts. Like, I love it. But, you know, we're big MxPx fans. I don't want anyone listening to this thinking that we're not.
But, like, I mean, if you haven't heard the first album in a hot minute, go back and listen to it. And go back and listen to it, every single song, one after another, even looking at the lyrics. And you'll see what we're saying.
Yes, 100%. Well, Katie, we will be back next week with even more Christian cringe. I don't know what we're talking about just yet. We'll find out.
And you will too. Stay tuned.
Why do growing businesses love working in Slack? Let's ask Christy at Ari Bikes.
Running things in Slack saves me so much time.
AI summaries save 97 minutes per week. What say you, Rox from Gosney?
Slack helps us build community, it helps us build connection.
Your partners, vendors and customers all in one place. Take us on home, Ashley from Caraway.
If we didn't have Slack tomorrow, I would explode.
Well, let's not let that happen. Visit slack.com/podcast to get 50% off Slack Business Plus.
Remember when James Cameron nearly directed a Spider-Man movie?
What about when we almost got Batman Year One with Joaquin Phoenix?
Or David Goyer's Flash movie that would have starred Ryan Reynolds?
Well, if you want to learn about all the unmade superhero movies, then check out Superhero Stuff You Should Know.
Hosted by Ben Wan and Alex Ramsey, every month we cover nostalgic superhero movies with deep dives into unmade scripts, early drafts, deleted scenes, alternate cuts, concept art, novelizations, and tie-in novels.
We also interview the people involved in making the superhero films of our childhood, with our past guests including superhero actors, directors, screenwriters, and concept artists.
So remember, that's Superhero Stuff You Should Know, or Superhero SYSK on social media. Check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.